Good morning, members of the Board of Education, Superintendent Powden, Principal Trimbley, students, staff, faculty, administration, family, friends, and a special greeting to our commencement speaker, Senator Bernie Sanders. Welcome to the commencement exercises of the class of 2020. At this time, please rise for the national anthem, which will be performed by Natasha Fortin, a member of our graduating class. Thank you.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
I invite to the podium Mr. Chuck Bostock, a beloved teacher from our school, who even in his retirement stepped forward this past year to assist our students who needed some extra support in world language. Mr. Bostock will provide a formal welcome to our ceremony and share the memories of the history of our school, and we welcome him to the podium.
Thank you, Dr. Palmer. Seniors, parents, grandparents, staff, people watching on TV and YouTube and live streaming and who knows what else, Zoom or whatever, welcome finally to the Black River High School 2020 graduation, and sadly the final graduation for Black River High School. From 1939-40 to now, it's been quite a history. Seniors, you'd be interested in this little fact, or this is a coincidence, call it what you want, that I just found out 4 or 5 days ago. You people, you seniors, had your senior year disrupted. You had to move out of the school building halfway through your senior year. That first senior class had their senior year disrupted just the opposite way. They didn't get to move in until halfway through their senior year. The building was not quite ready. In the fall of 1939, they had to wait until the second semester to come in. So they got started late. You people got to move out early. So kind of a weird coincidence that I thought was interesting. And Ms. Tremboli, believe it or not, I was not in that first class. But I'm honored to be here for the last graduation of Black River High School. Just a little bit of history. The building over there that we now call the high school building, for many years, that housed all grades, 1 through 12. The first floor was grades 1 through 6. The second and third floor were grades 7 through 12. Roughly in the early 1950s, as enrollment increased and they started to build the elementary building, for 2 or 3 years, the first and second and third grades met in classrooms over in the Armory. And some of the middle school students were brought down to the bottom floor. The elementary school got finished, and all the grades 1 through 6 moved over there, of course. And then I think about a year later, this beautiful gym was finished, I think in 57, 58. Before this gym was built, this whole area in the winter used to be flooded, and they had a skating rink here. And that, the students really enjoyed that. But I remember in 8th grade, we started to play basketball here for the first time, and that would be 58, 59. In the mid-60s, this building out here that has the art room and the band room and the music room and the elementary computer room and so forth, that was added. And before that was added, way back in the early days, we used to have an old-fashioned rope ski tow there that would take kids to the top of the hill, and it was all clear, of course, and then they were able to ski down. Black River Academy used to play football, not soccer. Once they got down here, I don't think they ever played football here at the high school. But in 58, 59, I think it was, Paul Poland, who was quite a football player himself, brought soccer down here, and as you people know, that became a very fantastic tradition of Black River High School. When I first came here as a teacher in 73, the girls played field hockey, not soccer. And that was with Jennifer Stoll, of course, as the coach. In the 76, 77 in there, they switched to soccer, and that was quite a controversial decision. Baseball field used to be up in Dorsey. Soccer field used to be down here. And now, of course, it's just the opposite. Baseball field is down here. Soccer team plays up at Dorsey. We've had a lot of achievements in the past years. First of all, in sports, we have won soccer championships, boys and girls. We've won basketball championships, girls and boys. We've won softball championships. We've won baseball championships. We've had a lot of skiing awards. We've had lots of snowboard awards and the snowboard championships. And I wished we had time when I could talk about some of the outstanding players and outstanding teams that we've had. But that would just take forever. We've had some great coaches in our day. In men's basketball, we've had Dave Kearney and Glenn Thurber and Stewie Schmidt and Dave Baker and Earl Washburn. And of course, in girls basketball, the one that really stands out is Sue Pollender. Girls soccer, we've had Carl Romer and Pat Pollender and Howie, and then Kit Kat. And then, of course, in boys soccer, we've had especially the Valentis, Pat Valenti and then Tony Valenti, who did such a great job. In baseball, we've had Paul Poland, Glenn Thurber again, who was just a great baseball coach as well as basketball, John Whittelek, and of course, Jim O'Neill. In softball, we've had coaches like Joe Gerdak and Luigi and Howie and now Zoe. Some fantastic teams there. And all those athletic accomplishments were really possible because in 40 years, since I've been acquainted with the school, over 40 years, we've had 4 outstanding athletic directors: Stewie Schmidt, John Whittelek, Joe Gerdak, and Pat Poland. But it wasn't just athletic accomplishments. We've had accomplishments in many other areas as well. Years ago, we had a glee club chorus of 65, 70 people in it, under the direction of Robert Ellison, and they even made their own record. They put on some fantastic concerts. The band was maybe the best band in the state of Vermont under Napoleon Ionic. Roughly 75, 80 people in there, and they would be invited to go and praise all around the state. Unfortunately, for a few years after they left, the band and the chorus slipped downhill a little bit, but then Paul Rondinoni came in, resurrected that band program, and it became outstanding again. And Connie Wilcox came in and resurrected the chorus program, and that became a great program also again. We've had national history projects, many awards, both state and national, under Mrs. Pollender and Ms. Sear. We've had science fair projects, very, very unique. NHS, Student Council, have had some fantastic things. And of course, those incredible art shows and art exhibits by Marcia Dockham and her students. Drama with Mrs. Beardsley and Stephanie Rowe and Ann Gardner, which would match anything larger schools would put on, even including musicals. Our students have gone on to colleges, all kinds of colleges, including West Point. We've had many trips to France with Bill Reed and Bruce Pollard, 5 trips to Spain with Senor. We've had a trip to Iceland last year with Heather Mealy. All kinds of fantastic things have happened here, and many, many foreign exchange students as well. We have had a lot of teachers go through Black River High School, some of them just outstanding teachers. We've had a lot of principals, some of them very, very good. I guess I could write a book about the faculty and the principals, but I will refrain from doing that. But this graduation and alumni this year, they were planning all sorts of special events and special programs to talk about a lot of these things, and unfortunately, that was all docked because of COVID-19. But that's all in the past. What about this year? This year, for you seniors, has been a very, very unique, very, very challenging year, and it's including, of course, today. This graduation is a challenging graduation, as you people have seen with this delay. But above everything else, the seniors have missed 3 or 4 months of that daily school activity, talking with their classmates, talking with their schoolmates in the locker room, in the hallway, talking with the teachers after school. They have had to miss all that. But I was senior advisor for probably 15, 18 different years, and I enjoyed it so much because seniors got so excited about those final year events. And seniors, you know all this, but I want to mention some of the special events that the seniors missed out on, so you people listening will appreciate some of what they've had to go through. No prom this year. We've had proms in this gym with this gym decorated, you wouldn't even recognize it as a gym. We've had proms at the town hall, decorated beautifully. We've had proms up on Okemo, at the Base Lodge, at the Sugar House, at Jackson Gore. We've had proms at Willie Dunn and Fox Run. Fantastic events. I was fortunate to be the announcer for many of them. Fun time, those proms. This year, no prom. No senior class trip this year. We've taken trips to New York City, to Boston, to Six Flags, to Virginia Beach, to Maine, whitewater rafting, all kinds of things. This year, no senior class trip. No baccalaureate. For over 40 years, Black River High School has had a baccalaureate. We are one of the last, if not the last, high school in the state of Vermont to have baccalaureate. This year, no baccalaureate. No class day. Class day is a special day at the end of the year when the seniors would present some of their talents, and also they would have a time to give to parents, classmates, faculty, and so forth appreciation gifts. Some fantastic things have happened. I wish I had a video to show you Craig Goodman unicycling around this gym, or Sherry Scales running down that center aisle, sliding into an improvised home plate and standing up and reciting Casey at the bat. Class day. This year, no class day. No typical senior awards night, where seniors got their scholarships and their awards and their individual achievements. And we did have it this year by Zoom. And for seniors, for those of you that got scholarships and awards, my congratulations to you. No project graduation. Senior parents have done an absolutely incredible job in the past years putting on Project Grad. This year, no Project Grad. And today, no typical graduation. I used to love graduation day. The band would be playing Pomps and Circumstances. The seniors would march down that center aisle. We would have the special music and so forth. The floor would be filled with chairs. Both sides of the bleachers would be filled with people. Many people often called graduation the biggest social event of the year in Ludlow and Mount Holly. And I think, of course, that they were right. But this has been a year of special challenges. And seniors, you have persevered like no other class. You have persevered through all these challenges, and you should be proud. You have reached your goal of graduation. A different graduation, you bet, but still very, very, very special. And I do want to say, as an alumni, as a former teacher, I want to say to the principal and assistant principal and the staff and the administration, thank you for overseeing all this year, all these strange events. So seniors, best of luck. You're graduating and going into a different world. Some of you will be going into the armed forces. That's got to be different. I can't imagine what basic training and the barracks is going to be like under COVID-19. Some of you are going into colleges. Great. But we all know how confusing that first year, that fall semester right now is shaping up for colleges. Some of you are going into careers and business, and we all know that almost every business has been affected by COVID-19. So it's going to be a little different, but you survived this year at school, and you'll be doing well at that as well. So today, again, you graduate. My congratulations to you. I didn't have an opportunity of teaching you people Spanish full time, and we didn't get to do baccalaureate this year. So I'm going to combine the two of those in my last piece of advice to you. Vayan con Dios. Go with God. God be with you. Muchísimas gracias.
At this time, our commencement speaker, Senator Bernie Sanders. I just want to express our heartfelt thanks on behalf of our entire school community when we reached out to Senator Sanders and he understood that the school was closing. He made it a top priority to record a personalized message for our graduates.
Let me thank all of you very much for inviting me to be with you today as you celebrate your graduation from Black River High School. Needless to say, I wish we could all be together in person. Congratulations to every member of the graduating class of 2020. You should all be extremely proud of the hard work that brought you to this moment in your life. Congratulations to your school board, to your faculty, to your staff, and to your families who helped get you to this moment. Today is a milestone in your lives. And when all of us think back on our high school years, we think of our friends that we grew up with, the teachers and coaches who helped shape us, the parents and family members who supported us. But for you, I expect it will be impossible for you to think back on your years at Black River without thinking about this last year and these last 3 months. While we celebrate you, this year's seniors, we are also commemorating the closing of the middle school and the high school. And that's a sad moment for the Ludlow and Mount Holly communities. For the past 81 years, Black River has been offering exemplary educational opportunities for students and has been rightly recognized for providing a well-rounded and supportive environment that prepares young people for the future. And today, after all of those years, after all of those students attending Black River, you are the last graduating class. I am not an historian, but it is just possible today that your class, your generation, is facing more change and more upheaval than any of the classes ever to graduate from Black River. And those changes are taking place at the local level, the national level, and at the global level. They are all around us. And the main point I want to make to you today is that change is scary. Change is unsettling. Change is challenging. And you guys are in the midst of those changes and transitions. But I also want to tell you that change and the challenges they create often bring out the very best in people. They create opportunities for us to do things we never could have imagined doing. And I hope that each and every one of you will be able to seize upon some of those opportunities. Now, let me give you some examples of what I mean. As you know, the reason I'm not with you today in person, the reason that you are not having a traditional graduation, the reason that you are sitting a distance away from your friends is because the world is experiencing the worst pandemic in 100 years, the coronavirus. And to be honest with you, no one really knows when this pandemic ends and when we return to normal in a way that is safe. That's change, that's transition in Vermont, in America, and in the world. And very few people a year ago would have, in their wildest imaginations, understood the situation we are in today. And the challenge that we face is that you and I and everyone else, we've got to figure out how we deal with that change in the best way possible. In terms of the pandemic, how do we bring countries and private companies together to develop a vaccine and treatment for the virus as quickly as possible? When the vaccine is developed, How do we make sure that it is distributed effectively and that all people, regardless of their income, receive that vaccine? In the meantime, while we wait for the vaccine, how do we best control the spread of the virus and minimize death and illness? Truth is, those are not easy sets of problems to solve, but it is something that all of us have got to work on together. And when we're talking about the coronavirus and how we respond to it, we are also talking about health care. Are we happy with the state of the American healthcare system? If not, what are we going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? What are we going to do about it together? Today, 87 million Americans are either uninsured or underinsured, and the outrageously high cost of health care puts a strain on many working-class families. We are the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people as a human right. How do we create a health care system which guarantees health care to all and not just huge profits for insurance companies and drug companies? Further, we need more doctors, more nurses, more dentists, more nurse practitioners, more EMT workers, more researchers. If our goal is to create a nation where people live long, happy, and productive lives, we're going to need a lot of great people involved in healthcare. Are some of you prepared to do that? But the challenges that we face today are not just the pandemic, as serious as that is. In the last several months, as all of you know, the economy has shut down. Over 30 million Americans have lost their jobs, and in Vermont, over 70,000 workers have applied for unemployment compensation, by far the largest number on record. So we are facing not just a pandemic at this moment, but the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. Question is short-term. What should we be doing about the high level of unemployment that currently exists and the low wages that so many workers receive? As some of you may know, there is a fierce debate going on in Washington right now about just that issue. Should we extend decent unemployment benefits to unemployed workers until we create the jobs that we need in this country? I personally think so. There are others in Congress who disagree. During this economic crisis, I believe that we should make sure that people are not evicted from their apartments or lose their homes because they don't have any money. And that everybody in this moment, at least, should have access to health care. Well, I will not surprise you by telling you that not everybody in the U.S. Senate agrees with me. What do you think? Long term, above and beyond the immediate economic crisis, how do we create an economy that makes sure that all of you and your entire generation have decent paying jobs when you leave schools, whether you leave high school, when you leave college, whenever? Should the United States government help create millions of jobs by investing billions of dollars in rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure, roads, bridges, water systems, schools, and saving the planet by investing in the transformation of our energy system away from fossil fuel into energy efficiency and sustainable energy? Now, I think that's the right thing to do. What do you think? Should we make public colleges and universities tuition free and make certain that every young person in this country, regardless of his or her income, can get a higher education? Well, a lot of people agree with me. I think that's the right thing to do. What do you think, the people who disagree? Should we cancel student debt in this country? We have some 45 million people who owe $1.4 trillion in student debt. Many of those people are hurting. Should we cancel that debt? What do you think about that? And if you happen to agree with me, How are we going to pay for all of these things? That's a lot of money that we're talking about. Should we be looking at the incredible level of income and wealth inequality in our country that currently exists? Now, we don't hear a lot of discussion about this. Relatively few people talk about it. I do. But there are three multi-billionaires who own more wealth than the bottom half of our country. And meanwhile, despite the fact that the rich are in fact getting much richer, many of them pay a lower tax rate than the middle class does. Does that make any sense to anybody? Not to me. Do we really, on another issue, have to spend more money on the military than the next 10 nations combined? Talking about $740 billion a year on the military? Or can we cut military spending and invest in the well-being of our people? And that means building more housing, improving our child care system, investing in public education, et cetera, et cetera. And let me mention a couple of other issues that we have to do a lot of thinking about. Black River High School is shutting down because of declining enrollment. This is an issue facing many communities throughout Vermont and, in fact, throughout rural America. In our country today, over 1/3 of all rural counties are declining in population. That means that in a rural state like Vermont and rural states around this country, we are seeing local schools being forced to consolidate. We're seeing family farms going out of business. We're seeing churches and grange halls shutting down. And I should tell you that I have driven through main streets in rural America, states all across this country, where almost all of the shops are boarded up and the downtowns in those communities are virtually dead. Nobody's out on the streets. The truth is that because of depressed rural economies, young people are leaving their hometowns, the towns in which they grew up in, towns in which they love, and they're moving to urban areas. Now, in a free society, people can live wherever they want to live. And let me tell you, there are some great and beautiful cities in America, and some of you may choose to live in one of those cities. But do not ignore, not for 1 second, the quality of life that can be experienced in a small town, something that we too often take for granted. It is no small thing that many of you have known your classmates and your teachers for most of your lives, and that in many ways your small class and your small school are nothing less than extended families, a community where people know each other and care deeply about each other. Today, small towns throughout our country are often hurting. And one of the challenges I hope we can work on together is how we can rebuild rural America and protect the rural way of life. How do we create good-paying jobs in small towns so kids can stay in the communities that they love? How do we make sure that every community in America has decent quality broadband and cell phone service so that small businesses and schools can flourish and create good-paying jobs? How do we protect and expand family-based agriculture and give people the opportunity to purchase fresh, locally produced food? How do we sustain rural hospitals and accessible health care for communities, no matter how small they may be? And let me further mention something to you that you have been seeing on your television screens, in your newspapers, and on the internet over the last few weeks. And that is that in Vermont and throughout this country, hundreds of thousands of people have been taking to the streets in the fight for racial justice and for an end to police brutality and the police murders of African Americans. This issue recently exploded because of the police murder of an African American man in Minneapolis by the name of George Floyd. And today, as you prepare for the next phase of your life, furthering your studies, joining the workforce, apprenticing in a trade, joining the military, whatever, you are doing so at a moment as our nation erupts with the anger, frustration, and grief caused by the tragic deaths of yet more people of color. You are living through the times that your children and grandchildren will learn about in history books. And I want you to know that. You know, we study the Civil War, we study the Revolutionary War. You know what? People are going to be looking back in years to come in schools about this particular unprecedented moment in American history. But it will be up to you, our nation's young people, to determine how those chapters in this saga end. We have seen that those who were already disadvantaged and marginalized are hurting the most. In the last few months, it has become undeniable that we must re-examine the very foundations of American society. We must fight for a more just and humane nation that serves every individual, regardless of where they live, regardless of their health status, regardless of their income, their age, their gender, or the color of their skin. These challenges may feel insurmountable right now, and they are big challenges. But I am actually filled with hope. Vermonters have always shown resilience and tenacity in the face of hardship and uncertainty. And I have been incredibly moved by how many Vermonters have stepped up during these dual crises to help. You have helped neighbors with grocery runs. School meals staff have put in long hours to ensure that families are fed, and local volunteers have reinvented how to check on community members. Young people have organized rallies and marches. You have focused on the needs of your families and your communities. Our endurance is only as strong as our solidarity. We are truly in this together, and do not let anyone convince you otherwise. As we struggle, we must remember how important it is to have a sense of pride in our communities. I know that the Black River High School seniors have been incredible role models to your younger classmates. You have handled the cancellation of prom, spring sports, and your class trip with maturity. You have navigated the years of uncertainty regarding the very existence of the Black River schools, and I know how painful that must have been. You have already faced hardship, and I know you will grow from it. You represent your school as well as your towns of Ludlow and Mount Holly with pride. And as I speak with you today, I want to impart two very important and hopeful messages. The first message is that this is not the first time our country has faced a major crisis. Our nation has had a long history of struggle, and time after time, we have overcome enormous difficulties and thrived. 150 years ago, we fought a brutal and horrible civil war to end the disgrace of slavery, and Vermont played a very, very important role in that war with many, many casualties. 100 years ago, women finally secured the right to vote. 75 years ago, we fought back the advance of Nazism and fascism. And 50 years ago, a great civil rights movement swept the nation, demanding an end to Jim Crow laws and segregation. And more recently, grassroots movement for women's rights, the environment, and marriage equality have all been transformative. All of these struggles must have seemed intractable at the time, but all are reminders that we are a resilient people, and that when millions of people come together to fight for a more just society, we can succeed. And that is the second point I want to leave with you today. I have always believed that real change rarely takes place in the halls of Washington or corporate boardrooms. Real lasting change takes place in the streets and towns throughout America. It takes place at the grassroots level when ordinary people, working people, young people, senior citizens come together to demand that change. So, as you celebrate your achievements and prepare to take this very important next step in your lives, consider what kind of positive change you want to make in your communities, in your state of Vermont, in your nation, and in your world. And as you ponder that thought, let me give you a challenge. Call out injustice wherever you see it and ask tough questions about everything that is around you. No matter what your political views are, it is imperative that you be involved in the democratic process. Listen to people you disagree with. Debate them, learn from them, and grow from the conversations. Let me end by saying that in spite of the many challenges we face as a nation, I am optimistic about the future, and I hope you are too. Because when we come together and not allow ourselves to be divided by divisive rhetoric, we can rise to meet any challenge. I am confident that the education you've received here at Black River has prepared you to approach the future with energy, strength, and creativity. And know that you all have the power to leave the world a better place than you found it. Once again, I'd like to acknowledge the closing of Black River High School and the middle school and celebrate all of the students' hard work and all of the great work that has been done at Black River over the years. And to the graduating class of 2020, go forward, use the education you have gained here at Black River, and make this world a better place. You have the potential to do truly extraordinary things, and with hard work, you will. I see a very bright future for all of us because of you. Thank you very much.
And we thank you, Senator Sanders. We're going to move on to our student speakers. This year we have invited two class speakers who have attained the high academic honors of magna cum laude over the course of these past 4 years. Our first speaker will be Natasha Borton. Please come forward.
As the last class of Black River High School, our class has been saying we were going to go out with a bang. We wanted to be important. We wanted to be unique. We wanted to be memorable. We wanted to be excessive. Well, so far, this year has been important, unique, memorable, and excessive. But the events of this year are not what any of us had in mind. Act 46 passed in 2015. This act would close and consolidate small schools and in return promised to lower taxes and give school choice for the students. Black River, having qualified as a small school, was put through a vote and was eventually voted to close. While at Black River, we have had the option to work for local businesses within our community. We have had the option to do community service that supports the people of our community through community dinners. We could support our sports teams within our community. I found the involvement in the community to be important. Nearing the end of Black River High School, all of these things I had taken for granted, I found to be important. Our community and our Black River family are important to me. COVID-19 disrupted our education, causing us to turn to online learning. Like other schools, this change forced us to adapt our learning styles to fit that of the conditions. Unlike other schools, I didn't realize that my last chance to be a student physically in the school was 3 months ago. I didn't realize that that day had already gone by. I didn't have the chance to personally clean out my locker of 4 years. We didn't have a class trip, a senior prom, senior skip day, class day, the All-State Choir Festival. Each of us didn't have the chance to say goodbye to Black River. But on a positive note, I got to know my classmates better by seeing into a different aspect of their lives. This was unique. Black River's faculty and staff have been there to support us throughout our high school career. These teachers have always put our education first, even when we didn't. They made sure we knew the material and understood completely what we were doing. Many of these faculty members stayed, even with the uncertainty of having a job the next year. This was memorable, and their sacrifice excessive. Advice to underclassmen: cherish what you have found to be important, unique, and memorable in your time at Black River. Don't forget to be excessive in whatever you choose to do. Advice to graduating seniors: if you fight for what's important in excess, you will be unique, memorable, and successful. No matter where I go or what I do, I will always be a part of the Black River family and community. We are BR.
Thank you, Natasha. Christina Letourneau, please come forward as our second student speaker.
To start, I would like to congratulate my fellow classmates. We finally made it. I would also like to thank all of our parents and teachers for supporting every single one of us throughout the years, no matter what we threw at you. This class is special, and not just because we are the last class that will ever graduate from Black River. There have been many ups and downs with this class ever since our first day of high school. Many of us already knew each other, but we didn't know many of our teachers. During our freshman year, not much happened, and so we tried to take a class trip at the end of the year. It didn't go as planned. We decided that we would take a trip to Quechee Gorge and just hang out for the day. Well, it rained. It started to rain after we had gotten down to the gorge, and none of us really paid any attention to the signs that said, "Caution, water rises fast," or something like that. We were exploring out on the rocks when all of a sudden we heard Mrs. Rafter yelling at us because the water was rising. A group of us almost got stranded out there, but we made it back to shore in time. We hiked back to the bus in the rain, and all of us were cold and wet. We decided that we wanted food, so we stopped at an ice cream bar nearby. After that, we returned to the school and watched Finding Dory as a class. I think this is when we started to become closer. Sophomore year was great for many of us until November, when we lost an amazing teacher and friend, Mrs. Gagner. She was in my English class that year, and it wasn't the same after she was gone. Actually, most of the school wasn't the same after we lost her. She was such a huge part of the school community, and we all missed her for the remainder of the year, and we still do today. I know she would be proud of many of us. Junior year went by faster than we expected it to. Some of us were taking AP US History with Mr. Bannon, and that was an adventure. That class was harder than we expected it to be. Like, seriously, it's US History. You would think we knew what was happening, right? Well, we didn't. After that class was over, a few of us would go upstairs to Miss Getman's for English 11 honors. Our afternoon schedules were difficult, but we made it. Junior year was definitely better than our senior year, even if some of us were confused in at least half of our classes. Now on to senior year. This year has been difficult for everyone, but especially for me. I was only able to play in 6 soccer games because I ended up breaking my ankle so severely that I needed surgery. I was still part of the team, though, since I didn't want to just sit home and do nothing while I knew that my team was at Dorsey Park practicing right after school. I also missed out on most of the basketball season until I got cleared to play on February 10th. Howie was our coach, and he decided to make me co-captain once I was able to play. I might not have been much help to the team, but I do know that some of the younger girls on the team learned a lot from me when I couldn't play. They would come over to me and ask me to help them with their shooting, or they would ask me how a play went since they kept forgetting. I still felt wanted on the team, and that meant everything to me since it would be my last season playing with all of them. Basketball season ended, and we went back to doing schoolwork instead of talking about basketball during class. All of us missed out on our end of the year activities because of COVID-19. I have missed seeing everyone more than I thought I would. We haven't really seen each other since March 13th, which was our last Friday actually in school. We missed out on prom, class day, and our senior trip. Now here we are about to graduate and part ways for who knows how long. I will miss seeing everyone play on the soccer field during Invitational and Josh Cole. I will miss watching everybody who played basketball get better every year. And most importantly, I will miss seeing the faces of my classmates every day at school. Some of us are going off to college soon, and I know we will all do great things. I have some final words for the class. We might have been handed possibly the worst senior year in the history of Black River High School. We lost a friend and family member that we have all known since elementary school and in February. And we lost another former student just last week, both to car accidents. The rest of our senior year was taken away from us due to a global pandemic, and we never saw any of this coming. Our graduation is definitely not what we expected it to be, but at least we are having one. I wish you all the best in your futures. I know all of you will do amazing in whatever career you decide to pursue. Everybody that is going to college or to post-secondary education, I hope you guys have the best experiences because you all deserve it. I will miss the school and all of my teachers and classmates, but this is not goodbye forever. It's goodbye for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. And now Trish Rafter, Senior Class Advisor, will provide senior farewells.
I would like to congratulate the class of 2020. These kids have had ups and downs and have always worked to get to the ups. They finally are getting their diplomas, lots of hard work, lots of requirements, and we're here to celebrate their success. While they did have a few losses over the course of their experiences, I'd like to take a serious focus on their celebrations. So, taking a moment to look at the history of this school these kids called home, there are many teachers here that have influenced them. They've been here for 2, 3, even 4 decades. Marcia Dockham, Ann Gardner, Darlene Remy have all been a part of your education at some point during elementary, middle, or high school. Graduating with you today is one more faculty member that not only carries decades of experience and not only guided you through middle school, but also served as my own mentor in my first years at Black River. Over the course of the years, the population has changed and the numbers have decreased. When this school opened in the 40s, we offered football and field hockey, we had glee club and band participation. We had so many students that the glee club and band pretty much were the same equivalent to all the students in the school today. There are many other successful clubs over the years: drama, Latin, debate, chess, math, fencing, skiing. Throughout your time at BR, you have won history competitions. You have performed in drama productions. You have traveled internationally. You have won several Division IV state sports championships in soccer, baseball, and snowboarding. What memories will I take with me from Black River? Well, I'm always going to laugh when I think of my first winter carnival. I had to waddle down the gym floor with a balloon between my knees and couldn't get it to pop for anything. Finally, I did, and the next teacher got to go in the next part of the obstacle. And before I could get myself settled, I turned around and there was Mr. Davis flying over all of the mats to finish the course for us. Strong finish, a lot of fun. That freshman class trip to the gorge, I've never been so frightened in my life when the bell went off and the water started rising and I looked out and 12 of you were standing out where you were about to drown. All I could think of was, scream louder, get the kids in. It's funny now. Everybody made it back safe. The boys who brought their fishing poles, the girls who lost their shoes in the rocks. We had to go back in and get them. Everybody was wet. Then it rained on top of that. Not so funny at the time, but a brilliant memory 4 years later. I will remember the little red truck that Jake Flanders drew for me that I hung in my classroom for 4 years. I will remember all of the colorful names that Juliana Comstock colored for me and hung on my board. I'll remember Jake Banyai, who would come into my room and see if I needed anything carried to my car. I'll remember Kiana Peters and the laughs she generated in geometry class, both years. I will remember the perseverance of Calvin Kelly, Josh Lambert, and Sarah Schwartz as they worked and worked to get through Algebra 2, despite all the extra effort. I will remember the sweetness of Jesse Powers and R.J. Bear, who would stop by my door to say hi and just have a short chat. I will miss Isaiah Lear and his constant romping with Ty Bannon. I will also recall with a smile the secret communication between Grace and Christina and the soft chuckle that would sneak out of Grace when they were getting up to mischief. Finally, I will miss Bowen Stark. He struggled in class, but was always in a good mood, always smiled, and was always willing to lend a hand, except when his was broken, which was often thanks to snow sports. I will miss his daily stops and his bear-like hugs. I know I have missed a few of you, but it is only because our memories are either personal or because my heart is breaking as I come up with these reflections, and I know I will not see you in this setting again. You have experienced the loss of classmates. I will forever miss John Peters. And you will miss him and Ryan and others that were lost along the way that I did not know. I will miss Mary Ann. Most recently, the impact of cancellations due to coronavirus have created loss. You held fundraisers to celebrate senior awards, class trips, prom, project graduation, only to have each and every one of them canceled for your safety and the safety of your community. You are strong in spirit. You carry the legacy of President Calvin Coolidge, a Black River Academy graduate and 30th President of the United States of America. And with the closing of Black River Middle High School, you will be the final graduation class. I am proud of you. I wish you happiness, success, and peace.
Superintendent Powden, Principal Trimbley. I stand before you to certify that all candidates for graduation this morning have fully met all state of Vermont and local education requirements to graduate from Black River High School this June 13th, 2020. And these students are now eligible to step forward for the awarding of the diplomas. Robert Aber. Jacob Banya. Congratulations.
You want to take a family picture, you can take it on that blue line there. If you want to take a family picture, he's gonna get one for you.
Oh,
You want me to take one for you too?
Sure.
Catherine Buckley. Juliana Comstock. Corey Corica. Congratulations. Riley Daniels. Congratulations. Gregory Eaton. Mariah Fales. Jacob Flanders. Congratulations. Natasha Fortin. Congratulations. Jay Grenadier. Robert Hamill. Calvin Kelly. Like the mortarboard. Alexander Kurdzik. Congratulations. Joshua Lambert. Congratulations. Isaiah Lear. Christina Letourneau. Grace Livingston. Joshua Noble. Congratulations. Isha Patel. Congratulations. Kiana Peters. Jesse Powers. Congratulations. Benjamin Stanfield. Bowen Stark. Congratulations. Sarah Schwartz. Congratulations.
This is fun.
Congratulations to all of the seniors and the graduates of the class of 2020. You will always be remembered, not because you're the last class that ever graduated from Black River, because you were unique. You handled everything with humility, with grace, with resiliency and perseverance. That's what you'll be remembered for. We look forward to everything you have in front of you in your adventures. We wish you well and we wish you good luck. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of the faculty and staff members of Black River High School. You have taken some very tough years, last 3 years, and you were resilient. You were unique, and you have persevered. You will always be remembered in my heart for everything that you sacrificed to stay to the very end. I'm very, very appreciative. I know the Ludlow and Mount Holly community is also very appreciative. We want to wish all of our faculty and staff the very best in whatever their adventures are in the next coming years. I thank you for letting me have the honor and the privilege to be Black River principal for the last few years. I wish you well, and as Christina said, it's not just goodbye. It's just goodbye for now. Thank you.